Right, let's move to other stories. We'll get more updates in later bulletins. Now, the National Democratic Congress's free primary healthcare policy will be funded by oil revenue, among other sources of funding. This was revealed by former Chief Executive for the National Health Insurance Authority, Sylvester Edmenta, who is a spokesperson on health for the NDC's manifesto team. The proposed policy is the NDC's flagship promise in the health sector, dubbed in the manifesto, dubbed Jobs and Progress for All, the People's Manifesto. He was speaking to me on Prime Morning on Joy Prime Television, where Mr. Edmonds has spelled out how this will be funded.
The idea is one, introduce additional funding into the health insurance scheme, and we have spoken about one, reviewing the health insurance, not reviewing but ensuring that we enforce the Health Insurance Act 852 of 2012 to ensure that the Ministry of Finance pays all the NHI levy collected into the health insurance fund within 1 month of collection, so that these funds, so the tendency of applying these funds for other purposes is completely eradicated. Again, we are also saying that we are going to ensure that the issue of capping and the realignment of health insurance funds will be completely eliminated. So all funds accruing under the health insurance levy would be given to the health insurance scheme. But in addition to that, we're also saying in our policy that we're going to exclude the health insurance levy from all VAT exemptions. As we speak today, whether it is the NHIL or the GET fund levy, everything is included in the VAT, and when there is an exemption, everything is exempted. We are saying that going forward, under an NDC government, God willing, in January next year, we are going to exempt the NHI levy from all exemptions. That is to say that when there's a VAT exemption, it will not include the NHI levy. That would also help in raking in additional funding for the health insurance scheme. We're also talking about assigning a percentage of our oil revenue to the health insurance scheme, and also legislate and assign a percentage of motor insurance premium, as well as vehicle licensing fee to all support the health insurance scheme. And so, well, to support health financing generally.
When the current administration increased the ABFA contribution to education because of free SHS, they were accused of using the ABFA funding for non-capital expenditure. And the NHIA is also not capital expenditure. The oil revenue was supposed to be invested in capital expenditure for infrastructure for the future. If you're using it on NHIA, aren't you doing exactly what was criticized by?
Well, I mean, using that for the health care of your people, using that to address an emotive issue, a very emotional issue of life and death, I guess it's a little different from using it for any other thing. We think that the health of our people is so critical.
That was the arguments the MPP raised, that the education of the citizenry was also critical. And
well, if you don't have life, you cannot even enjoy any level of education. Life is primary. Life is critical. Life is an emotive issue, and I guess that there's no better way to spend our oil resources among all Ghanaians, all citizens, than to apply it on their health.
He also assured Ghanaians this promise will not suffer the fate of the NHIA one-time premium promise, which did not see the light of day.
NDC promised a one-time premium payment. Stakeholders disagreed with the policy implementation and advised the government to put it on the back burner. I guess you were at that forum where health insurance discussed the one-time premium with stakeholders, both internal and external stakeholders, and stakeholders advised that government should step down on the implementation of that policy.
Made a commitment to the people of Ghana in a social contract.
And before then, there has been a policy directive from Cabinet to the health insurance scheme and the ministry to implement one-time premium. It was around the same time that we had a stakeholder meeting to discuss the implementation of the one-time premium. And stakeholders advanced reasons why they think that the policy must be put on hold. And government received a copy of the recommendations of the stakeholder meeting, and on the basis of that, put aside the one-time premium.
But that's so it is not variance to the commitment you made to the people of government.
Of course, if you make a commitment to the people, and the people come back to you and say that don't do this. Mind you, what we have now is a people's manifesto. It's a manifesto that we have generated from the people, from farmers, from fishermen. We have consulted with drivers, we have consulted with everyone, and we have a people's manifesto that truly represents the aspirations of the people of this country. It tells exactly what Ghanaians want to see in this country in the next 4 years. We have learned from the way we developed our previous manifesto, where we assemble knowledgeable people, experts in the field, sit down and think for the country. Of course, one-time premium might have come out as a product of that process. The current process is going to the people and coming out with the People's Manifesto. And so if we had come out with a policy, and the very stakeholders who we expect to benefit from this policy are saying that put it aside, you won't say that, oh, because you won an election on the basis of a number of policies, that single policy inclusive, you are going to implement it at all costs. No, I don't think that that is the kind of democracy we are talking about.